Hey guys, and thanks for tuning in today. Today we're going to be talking about Airbnb and if you should or should not try to start a business surrounding Airbnb and renting out a place. So today we're going to talk about 5 reasons why Airbnb is good for a side hustle, but not good for a real business and not good to buy a property with the sole idea of turning it into an Airbnb property. I know there are a lot of people out there who say they're killing it with Airbnb, who are making a lot of money. I know there's some blogs and stuff out there make 6 figures with an Airbnb business. I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I don't like this as a business. So the first reason is going to be liability. Good luck finding an insurance policy to cover you for Airbnb type stuff. Whether someone damages the property, your property, or condo community, anything like that. Your typical homeowner's insurance policy is probably not going to cover renting out a place for individual nights, and even a renter's policy is more geared towards someone on a fixed lease, not a night by night thing. You have new people all the time. It's more risk, and if you're able to find an insurance policy that will cover everything you want to be covered for, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. I was just reading about the guy the other day. Some girl broke her leg in his condo. Staying at his place for Airbnb, and sure enough his insurance policy didn't cover it, so he's coming out of pocket to pay for a broken leg. So liability is one reason. You're probably not going to be able to find an insurance policy that's legitimately going to cover this, and if you do, it's probably going to cost you a pretty penny. Next is ordinances. The city of New York actually has an ordinance against renting out your place for single nights. As far as I know, it's just New York as of now. But as Airbnb becomes more popular, more cities are going to start adopting this. There's going to be more issues with neighbors complaining that they don't like the revolving door of people coming in and everything else. And you're going to see more city ordinances popping up. So let's say, just for example, you buy a condo in Orlando, Florida, planning to rent it out to families who are going to Disney World. That's great, but if Orlando passes an ordinance against that, you're either in kind of a gray area of the law, or you may even be getting fines or have your business shut down. So the fact of the instability and things like that, possible city ordinances coming down the pipe, that's reason 2 why I don't like Airbnb as a full-time business, or why I don't want you to put a big investment into something solely as an Airbnb business. I should point out real quick, and I don't want us to get distracted here, but renting out your place, a couple nights a month, by all means do it. Subsidize your mortgage, subsidize your lease, your rent, whatever. Maybe you stay over at a girlfriend or boyfriend's place a lot, maybe you travel for work a lot, maybe you're out of town a lot. By all means, do that, make some money. But if you're thinking about buying a place or renting a place with the sole idea of turning it into an Airbnb business, I don't really like it. The third reason is landlords and or neighbors. I guess you could go 2 different ways. Are you going to buy a place and turn it into an Airbnb business, or are you going to try to rent a place from a landlord and then use that place as an Airbnb business? Now, most landlords are not going to be cool with this. I have heard, some people on forums and things like that who've talked to people in advance and said, look, here's what my idea is, here's what I'm using it for, are you okay with this? And a few of them have gone along with it and said, yeah. But really, if I'm renting a place to you, I would much rather rent to a stable tenant or a family who's going to be there all the time than some guy who's going to, have a revolving door of people who knows how they take care of the property. I'm essentially the one who's going to be getting the fines and things like that from the condo board or apartment complex or whatever when guests are loudy or damage things or things like that. So why am I going to rent it to you so that you can make money when there's no upside for me? So unless you're going to cut the landlord in on the profits or something like that, I don't really see any landlords going along with this unless they're really desperate to get somebody into place. So that's a third reason. Landlords, also neighbors. If I live in a condo and I see every day there's someone new at the place next to me, I probably wouldn't care too much about that, but most families, most people probably would. They don't want a revolving door of people coming through there. They don't want a bunch of people in town partying, staying at the place next door to them, staying up late and things like that. And let's be honest, some people do use Airbnb for work. There are families that use it, but a lot of times it's younger people, who are traveling, who want to go party in some city and stay at a cheaper place. So that's another thing you're going to run into. So third is landlords, neighbors, associations. If you live in a condo or a townhome community, I can pretty much guarantee your association has some kind of rule against this. So your whole business is kind of trying to fly under the radar and be in a gray area. And do you want to be in a business that could be shut down any day? Personally, I don't. So that's the third reason. The fourth reason is just the workload. I hear a lot of people who don't even want to be a traditional landlord because they say it's too much work, too much headaches, too much risk. I have a rental house. I'm looking at buying another one. I personally don't see this as being the case, but a lot of people do say, aren't willing to take the risk, aren't willing to do the work to be a traditional landlord. So if you think being a traditional landlord is too much work and you want to do an Airbnb business, forget about it. Because an Airbnb, traditional landlord, yes, some people have trouble collecting rent. Yes, some people have to go fix a leaky pipe or whatever. But I've had my tenants in for about 3 years. They bothered me about 3 times. It's a pretty hands-off business. My rent is collected online via ACH deposit. There's really nothing I have to do. If I had an Airbnb place, every single time somebody stays there, I have to clean up before the next person stays there. I have to have fresh towels. If you actually want to have some success on Airbnb, you got to supply them with groceries. I'm not saying go out and spend $100 on groceries for every person who's staying with you, but have some bottled water in the fridge. Maybe have a little bit of fresh fruit, some bananas, some muffins, something like that. Same way that Uber drivers often drive around with Red Bulls or bottles of water to hand out as little kind of tchotchkes and to encourage better reviews. Airbnb, the same thing. You're essentially running a little mini hotel and you have to compete with other people. So you need to be able to do stuff like that. So it is going to be more work and also more headaches than being a traditional landlord. So that's another thing to think about here. And lastly is the instability. I kind of talked about this already, but there's so many cards up in the air. City ordinances could possibly come down, making renting places by the night illegal. Insurance policies may drop you, may not cover things. Your landlord may not be cool with it. Your building may not be cool with it. The city may not be cool with it. There's just so many unsure things about doing this as a full-scale business. So if you're thinking about going and buying a place for, and most places that you're going to buy for Airbnb are going to be in hot areas and are going to be more expensive. No one's going to stay out in the sticks or out in the suburbs at an Airbnb place. Most people are going to want to be in Manhattan. If they're in Chicago, they're not going to want to be way up on the north side. They're going to want to be just off Michigan Avenue or River North or in the Loop, walking distance to everything. So these places aren't going to be cheap places to pick up. You're going to spend a couple $100,000 or pay a couple $1,000s per month in rent to get a place that's actually going to be highly sought after for Airbnb. And that's a big investment with so many unsure things going on. So far we talked about the 5 reasons: the liability, possible new city ordinances coming down, landlords and neighbors having issues, the workload, and lastly, instability. One other thing, and I guess maybe I should have made this video 6 reasons you shouldn't get into an Airbnb business, but this isn't really a reason, just something I felt the need to comment on. Being a traditional landlord, let's say I could rent my place for about $1,000 a month. I don't know what that winds up being per night. It's probably $27, $37 per night. Now, doing Airbnb, let's say I can charge $100 per night. These aren't exact numbers. We're just running some rough numbers for the example, so it's easy for you to comprehend and me to come up with the example here. But I can rent my place out for $100 a night, so I'm getting almost 3 times what I could do with a traditional lease. The problem, however, is Airbnb is probably most popular on the weekend. So there's 8 weekend nights, 8 weekend days, nights in a month. So if I have my place 100% occupancy every weekend day, I'm going to make $800. If I rented it to a stable tenant, I could get $1,000. Do I think I'm going to be able to keep 100% occupancy on the weekends and also have a couple people during the week to kind of subsidize that? Personally, I don't. And even if I am able to get a couple more tenants in, maybe make $200 more than I was traditional landlording, I would gladly be a traditional landlord and forsake all the work of having to swap out towels, have someone turn over keys when someone wants to stay there, cleaning up in between. If you do decide to go forward with this, there are cleaning services that'll charge a flat rate. So maybe you can have them come out up to 10 times a month, and they're just going to charge you $100 or something like that. That's probably better than having someone come out charging you $50 every time or something like that. You wouldn't be making any money if that was the case. So you can also get electronic door locks to where you can change the code remotely and people can get in, and you're not having to go turn over the keys to people every time. So there are some ways you can kind of lighten the workload on yourself and make it easier. Heck, if you have someone who lives in the building who wants to make an extra $100 a month, turning over keys and stuff for you, that could be helpful as well, and you have someone to kind of keep an eye on things. But overall, this isn't a great business to get into in my mind for the 5 reasons I mentioned. I will link below to a couple articles about how to make 6 figures with Airbnb and things like that. By all means, read them. I'm not trying to monopolize an opinion on something. I'm going to try to share all views with you. Check out some of those articles, see what you think. Keep in mind some of the pros and cons that I gave you. And if you guys have any questions, comments, anything like that, if you've had some experiences with Airbnb, either staying at a place or renting a place out, leave a comment below. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and I respond to all questions and comments. And also, I'm sure my other readers and viewers would like hearing your opinion as well. People want to hear more opinions than just mine, and the discussion box is a great place to kind of have a discussion and debate some of these things. So thanks for checking out my video. Please, towards, I think it's the bottom right if you're on a phone, bottom left if you're on a computer, give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Click right below here to subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'm going to be doing a lot of videos about side hustles, businesses, Airbnb, making money, investing, being a landlord, all that type of stuff. So like my videos, subscribe, check back for more, and we'll talk to you guys next.